In September 2022, Burkina Faso faced its second coup d'état in less than 9 months. This time, it was led by a 34-year-old army captain, Ibrahim Traoré. He seized power by ousting Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Damiba, who had himself overthrown President Roch-Marc Kabore earlier that same year. Traoré justified the move in a televised address, claiming Damiba had failed to deal with the worsening insurgency that was devastating the country. Observers were quick to notice the parallels between Traoré and Burkina Faso's most iconic revolutionary leader, Thomas Sankara. Both men wore the red beret. Both were captains. Both came to power at the age of 34. And both staged coups against the military government that had risen to power only months earlier. This striking resemblance fueled comparisons, with many dubbing Traoré as Sankara reborn. Born in 1988 英寸版的 Coup, in Burkina Faso's Moham province, Ibrahim Traoré grew up away from the military spotlight. He attended school in his hometown before moving to Bobo-Dioulasso, the nation's second-largest city. Unlike Damiba and many of his fellow officers, Traoré initially pursued a civilian path. He studied geology at Joseph Kisabo University in Ouagadougou, where classmates described him as reserved but exceptionally intelligent. As valedictorian of his class, he shocked many by abandoning academics to join the army. In 2009, he entered the Georges Namono Military Academy, a less prestigious institution compared to the elite academy that trained Sankara and Damiba. Graduating in 2012, Traoré joined the artillery regiment in Kaya, and just 2 years later was promoted to lieutenant. He soon received specialized anti-aircraft training in Morocco, a sign of his rising promise. Traoré's first major test came in 2014, when he was deployed to Mali under the United Nations peacekeeping mission, MINUSMA. There, he fought jihadists and ethnic insurgents, earning respect for his courage and leadership under fire, particularly during a deadly militant assault in Timbuktu in 2018. By 2019, he was back in Burkina Faso, leading operations in the country's volatile east during Operation Otapuinu. While hailed as success, the mission only provided temporary relief, with insurgents regrouping elsewhere. In the following years, Traoré continued to fight in Burkina Faso's Sahel region, often the deadly three-border zone where Burkina Faso meets Mali and Niger. Known for his fearlessness and closeness to his men, he rose to the rank of captain in 2020. But by then, frustration within the army was boiling over. Many young officers, Traoré among them, saw their superiors as incapable of defeating the jihadist threat. One notable incident came in 2020, when jihadists threatened the town of Barcelogo. The main road was heavily mined, so Traoré led his men through a grueling trek across the countryside, arriving just in time to save the town. These acts of bravery won him admiration from fellow soldiers, but also highlighted the failures of Burkina Faso's leadership. By 2020, the insurgency had spiraled into a national crisis. Large areas of the country had slipped out of government control. By mid-2022, over 2 million people had been displaced, and thousands had been killed. In January that year, Lieutenant Colonel Damiba led a coup, promising to restore security. He established the Patriotic Movement for Safeguard and Restoration, MPSR, and brought Traoré into his ranks. But under Damiba, the situation only worsened. Attacks multiplied, soldiers complained of late pay, and morale collapsed. The final breaking point came in September 2022, when jihadists ambushed a food convoy heading for the besieged city of Djibo, killing dozens of soldiers. As outrage spread through the ranks, Damiba attended the United Nations summit in New York, insisting that progress was being made. Back home, troops felt abandoned, and anger reached a tipping point. On September 30, 2022, shots rang out in Ouagadougou. By evening, state television broadcast a new message. Captain Ibrahim Traoré had seized power, declaring that Damiba had betrayed their trust and failed to restore security. Crowds filled the streets in support, and when rumors spread that Damiba was plotting a counterattack with help from French forces, anti-French protests erupted across the country. Within 48 hours, Damiba was forced to resign. At just 34 years old, Captain Ibrahim Traoré became a transitional president of Burkina Faso. From the start, his rule took a sharp turn away from France. By January 2023, he ordered French troops to leave the country within 1 month, formally ending decades of French military presence. Speculation soon mounted about closer ties with Russia, especially after Traoré's meeting with President Vladimir Putin at the 2023 Russia-Africa summit. There, while other African leaders wore expensive suits, Traoré appeared in full combat gear, red beret, tactical gloves, and fatigues. His blunt speech drew thunderous applause, as he warned African leaders against becoming puppets of imperial powers. He declared, "We, African heads of state, must stop behaving like marionettes, dancing each time the imperialists pull strings." To his supporters, this was Thomas Sankara's spirit revived. Today, Captain Ibrahim Traoré remains one of the most watched and polarizing figures on the continent. To some, he is a fearless young leader fighting to reclaim sovereignty. To others, he is yet another strongman ruling by force. What is certain is that at just 34 years old, Traoré has already secured his place in Burkina Faso's turbulent history. This has been African Biographic.